Hey, everybody, welcome to episode number 129 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. So when it comes to financial success, your behavior, your habits, they're going to play the most important role. And today we're going to be sharing 6 ways for you to start improving those habits. Like literally, you could start using some of these tools right after today's show. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, how is everyone doing today? You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad. And as always, welcome to today's show. And remember, to get all the resources, show notes, and links for today's show, head over to balancesense.com/129. That's BALANCEDCENTS.com/129. So as we've been doing in the last couple of episodes is kind of going back to some of the basics and some of the things that we really, really feel and believe that are really the reasons why we've been able to get out of debt, reasons why we've been able to stay out of debt. And today is probably, at least in my opinion, Amber and Ryan can definitely share their opinions, but in my opinion, today is one of those that is probably the most important. And I think being able to change habits, behavior, mindset, just how you think about money, has probably played the biggest role in helping us get out of debt and maintain financial freedom, outside of our mortgage. And, I think this is also an area where a lot of people miss. A lot of people know what to do. They understand like, oh, I probably should save more money. I probably should, pay off debt. I probably should have some sort of a plan, whether you call it a budget, a cash flow plan, whatever it might be. Like a lot of people understand the basics of financial, how to have financial success, but a lot of people have trouble actually practicing the basics, right? And they lack the consistency, the discipline, and the habits and the choices that, that it takes to win long term, right? And I would just like to know from you guys, what were some of your guys, and maybe you still have them, I know I do, what were some of your bad habits that you felt was really kind of keeping you guys stuck? And maybe what are some that you still struggle with today, even reaching financial freedom?
Impulse, like just impulse purchasing, buying, just, oh, I want that. That was one of the things, we would just buy it. We wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, we got the money in the bank. Okay, whatever. Or yeah, okay, we got enough available on the credit card. Let's do it. And we would just do it.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how easy it is just they make it to spend money or debt? It doesn't matter whether you have cash, whether you're using credit cards, whatever it means. Like they make it so easy, and marketing of like just products. It is so good. It fascinates me, honestly. It really does. I mean, you guys heard my drone story. Very same thing, Amber. Impulse, right?
Yep.
I forget what episode that was, but that was quite a while ago. We talked about that, but how they can just, you're not even thinking about it. You're not even thinking about whatever it is that all of a sudden you just buy. It's like, that's how good marketing is. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I would say impulse was probably one of the bigger ones for me too. Still is today. Still something that we still got to work on and keep an eye on.
Yeah. For me, it's just, you have it in our notes here, but it is just that sense of impatience, that sense of like, I would say the 2 biggest habits for me were impatience and budgeting. And I would say that those 2 are, as much as we talk about how important budgeting is, I hate it and I can't stand it, especially after we got out of debt. It's like, well, I don't have to do that no more.
Yep.
And it's one of those things that continues to, like, when we lax on it is typically when we start, I wouldn't say the arguments, because we don't argue, but it's when the money discussions start happening, because we didn't, we may have had a month or 2 where we just kind of like, whatever, we have money. And then you're like, how did you pay for that? How did you pay for that? And you say, so that still to this day is something that we have to always redirect ourselves and say, okay, we got to stick to our budget. Can't just go buy what we want because we don't want to wait 3 months to save up for it.
Yeah. You know what else is really hard that I find? I agree with all of these, by the way. Lack of direction were some of mine. Mine is boredom. You know, I like to spend money when I get bored because it's like, I'm bored, let's go do something. And all of a sudden, you know, you find yourself spending money. But do you guys find yourself self-sabotaging even today? Your financial goals, things that you're trying to strive for because they're bigger goals, like they're going to take you a while to get there. And sometimes that impatience comes in and all of a sudden you see these smaller purchases and you're like, oh, well, we have money for those. Right. And they make you feel good temporarily. Right. Oh, I'm going to buy this. We're going to go out to eat or we're going to do whatever, like just to go out and have some fun. We need it. Right. But it's just that instant gratification that you get from those smaller, probably less meaningful purchases, but it delays the bigger things that you're really trying to work on. That's one thing that we really struggle with, I think, especially like when we saved up for the down payment on our house. We really struggled with that because you'd all of a sudden have this money there and it would be like, oh, well, we could do this. And you kind of talk yourself into other purchases that really don't mean anything. You guys struggle with that at all?
Oh my gosh. You know, it's the boredom of waiting for it to grow.
Right.
Sometimes it feels like it's going to take forever.
Yeah.
And we struggle with that. And we were going to put our house on hold to go to Scotland. We were doing Scotland and then we were going to do the house in the next year. Well, the pandemic happened. It changed everything. So we moved the money back to the house fund instead of doing Scotland. And now we're saving up, but it feels like it's taking forever to re-save up for Scotland, but we're in our house. So yeah, it's like that teeter totter. What was better?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you haven't gotten our points by now, like this is going to be something like even us, like I've been, you know, we reached debt freedom 9 years ago now. And you know, these are still things that we're working on. We're still, you know, we still have to consciously make a decision every day to try to do this stuff differently. We don't win all the time. You know, money is just, it's one of those things that you have to practice all the time. And you get better at it, things get easier, but there's days when it's definitely tough. So the first part, you know, in these 6 things that we're going to share, the first one is just understanding and recognizing the bad habits that you have. You know, I understand these things about myself, about my wife, about our relationship with money, because we work on it, right? None of us are perfect. We all have our flaws. We all have things that we're going to fall into, temptations and all of those things, but it's understanding what those things are. So that way you can start building a plan to say, okay, I know I'm not going to be perfect at it, but I need to build in some of these processes or mechanisms in here where I'm not going to be tempted nearly as much as I used to, right? So like, for instance, one could be like maybe a bad habit of yours is, you know, maybe it is going out to eat. It is for almost everybody their number one area where they overspend the most, at least from our experience over the years and asking people, has been going out to eat. So if that's an area that you overspend a lot in, okay, well, you personally need to start thinking of, okay, what are some things that I could do to stop eating out as much? We're not saying stop it altogether. We're just saying, what are some things that I can do to stop eating out as much, right? And again, you're not going to get that perfect every time. There's going to be days that you're going to fail at it. But the idea is that you get more wins than losses, and eventually you start to get ahead, right? So number 1 is just recognizing it. But along with number 1, I would say maybe part 2 of number 1 is you also got to be willing to be ready to change. That's a big one, right? I work with a lot of people who want to get out of debt, but they're not willing to make the changes that are necessary in order for them to actually have success in getting out of debt. So it's recognizing it, but also being willing to make those changes.
And that's the hard, I mean, I just remember when we started doing this, wanting it and then actually doing it and like wanting to make that change was just hard to come to terms with, because it's easy to be all excited and I'm not going to eat out this month. And like day 3, I'm like, I'm eating out this month. It's like, you know, it's easy on the phrase. The same thing, like, right. You know, I've been eating healthy and exercising, but man, there are still, I don't want to do that. You know, there's days where I'm just like, I don't want to do this. I'm going to eat pizza and I want to go back to doing what I was doing because it was more fun.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, I totally resonate with just that idea of like what you just said.
Yeah.
So.
And I like that you brought that up because Amber, you could probably, you probably my witness on this, but do we not talk about this in Roots all the time?
Always.
Like every day, like there are going to be plenty of days. There's probably going to be more days than not that you're not going to feel like doing any of this. You're not going to feel like it, right? And that's part of the behavior change. That's part of the habit change. That's part of recognizing that it's okay that I don't feel like doing it, but I have to do it anyways, right?
But that's why I like the way you have it set up, because it's like you could take 15, 20 minutes, boom, do a little bit and just get in the habit of doing that every single day for 15, 20 minutes. Anybody can find that time.
Right. If you know what to do in those 15 to 20 minutes, right? It can be a super effective 15, 20 minutes if you know what to do in those 20 minutes, and you can really make that big of a difference in your finances just spending that little bit of time. Next one is when you're starting to change your habits is one of the fun ways to start doing it is just to start creating a small goal that you want to reach. Like, what's the point of this habit change in your finances? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to pay off certain debts? Are you trying to, like we recommend, build yourself a small emergency fund of $1,000 to $3,000? Maybe you're trying to save up for a purchase, but like if you put some meaning to it, like why you want to make these changes, you'll be more willing to do it because it's actually going to mean something. Like I tell people all the time, your reason for getting out of debt has to be bigger than I want to get out of debt. There's more meaning behind you saying that. And you need to spend some time working on what that is. What is it? Is it I want to get myself situated to buy a house? Is it I want to spend more time with my kids? I'm tired of working 2 or 3 jobs. There's got to be something in there that's meaningful for you that you're willing to sacrifice. You're willing to feel that pain in order to get what you want.
And I think the big thing here too is if you have a family, you have a partner, you gotta kind of get on the same playing field there, because it's going to be really hard if you have this goal and you have this set mindset of what you want to do and where you want to go, and your partner or your kids are not there with you.
Yeah, this is a huge part. This is like you just brought up a whole like six more episodes with that one, Amber. By the way, if you're looking for an awesome workshop, we have a workshop on our website. It's called Financial Harmony for Couples. It's all about really just doing what Amber said, is getting yourselves on the same page so you can set these small goals, whether they're individual goals for you, your personal life, or they're couple goals or for your family. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You gotta be on the same page. The next one is learning to live within your means. So as Ryan mentioned, budgeting, I say the same thing. Like a lot of people make the mistake thinking that because I coach people, I help people with their finances, and, probably even with Ryan, like we just love doing this stuff all the time. It's just not the case, right? But we do it because we like the results. So for instance, when you say live within your means, that means like you're not living paycheck to paycheck. You're starting to create a cash flow plan or a budget to keep track. What expenses are going out? What income's coming in? All right. We actually just did a whole getting started episode on budgeting, episode 126. So I would certainly go out and check that out. But you have to have a good understanding of what's going on with your money. And I don't care what you call it. I mean, if you don't like the word budget, fine. Call it whatever you want to call it. But you got to have some sort of a plan of what's going on with your money on a monthly basis and even a yearly basis if you want to have any chance of reaching any of your goals. Like you can't live without a plan. Like you will literally, and I know this from experience, you will spend everything you have without keeping track of it, right? And without having some goals that you're working towards. So make sure you got to start learning and committing to, we're going to live within our means. We're not going to overspend. We're not going to use debt. And we're going to live on a budget and a plan. And again, if you have hesitation about that, make sure you go listen to episode 126. We just covered that a few episodes ago. The other thing you guys got to do, and I would like you guys to talk about this one, is you got to change your thinking. This is probably, probably one of the harder ones. Just getting over this whole mindset of, well, you're always going to have debt, or you're always going to have a credit card, or, this whole idea of, well, we can't afford it, we'll just put it on the credit card. No, it's got to change. Like if you don't pay cash, and if you don't have the cash, then you can't afford it, right? You got to take a break from debt. You got to say, okay, we can't get out of it if we keep going into it. We got to leave this stuff alone. You got to commit. We kind of talk about this in our workshop, our Life Without Payments workshop. I talk about it like a bad relationship. You tend to say, oh, it was a bad relationship. I want to take a break to see if this is something that I really want. I encourage you to do the same thing with your debt, right? A lot of us had really good intentions when we started using debt. None of us planned to have the major financial issues or any of the financial issues that we have. Nobody purposely, at least nobody that I've met, purposely does that to themselves and then stresses themselves out over money. Right. So making sure that you're thinking about these things differently. Like, okay, we want to get out of debt. We got to stop using it.
I think this is where, kind of going back to where you said kind of creating that small goal. It's why we talk about so much about building that first emergency fund, because for us, this is changing our thinking meant we had to have the money for those emergencies so we could think differently. And so when we didn't have that emergency fund, it was like, we're not going to rely on debt. We're not going to charge anything, but we wouldn't have an emergency fund. And then something would happen, then we would charge it. And then we just basically say, it would kind of reinforce the thinking that nothing's ever going to change. So it's like, getting that first emergency fund funded. So you have the money to help, because I remember when the first emergency happened and we had the money to pay for it, it was like a huge boost and holy cow, we can do this. We actually have the money. We don't have to charge it. And that helped kind of to cement in our minds, okay, we can do this, and helped then, replenish it. We used it many times over, but that helped kind of reinforce that thinking at the beginning for us.
Yeah. And having a goal and a set plan and just kind of a focus. Because when other things would come up, not an emergency, but we really would like to go for dinner tonight. If you think and you go, okay, what's my priority though? Dinner's going to take me away from what we want to do faster. So let's see what's in the cupboard.
Yeah.
And that's where we really shifted our thinking, is just putting those priorities and what really was important to us versus what we could do without.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because when you don't have a plan, it's easy. They're so good at making things seem important to you that you need them, right?
Absolutely.
So, and when you have a plan, when you have a budget, when you've got something that you're following, a process that works, and you're getting the wins, you create almost like a filter for your financial life. Does this purchase fit into the filter? Does it fit in? Does it go through? Does it help us get closer to our goals? If not, it's much easier to say no. But when you have no plan, I feel like your emotions are always being hijacked. And this is why a lot of people struggle with overspending, impulsiveness, going into debt for things, and they're scratching their head on the other side. They're like, why do I keep doing this? Well, that's a big part of the reason, right? The other thing, too, is you got to cut out all the distractions that cause you trouble. All right? This is number 5. Cut out all the distractions that are causing you trouble. So, for instance, social media, it's amazing. All of a sudden, I know it's happened probably to you guys. You'd be talking about something. Hey, have you seen this, and this? All of a sudden, 5 minutes later, you open up Facebook and there it is, right?
Yep.
Isn't that funny how that works out? It's like they almost do that on purpose, maybe, right? But, cutting back on television, social media, unsubscribing from marketing emails. A big one is shopping groups. If you're on Facebook, shopping groups.
I look at shopping groups daily, and I'm on Facebook Marketplace daily. Do I need anything? No, not really. Then I show Paul, hey, look at this. This would be cool, huh? I never even knew I needed it until I was looking through there. I never knew.
Right. But you're always looking for that deal, right? It's like,
yes.
I could really use this. You're looking for a reason to spend money. Yeah.
All the time.
Isn't that funny?
I left so many shopping groups while we were getting out of debt, and I've slowly got back in. So I'm like, maybe I need to get back out.
Yeah. Yeah. This kind of comes back to, again, knowing what your habits are, knowing what's keeping you stuck, and then putting in some boundaries of, okay, how can we lessen the blow of these things that are happening? And these are all good things. For instance, take your credit cards out of your wallet. If credit cards are an issue with you, take them out of your wallet. Put them away. You have a budget. You have a plan. You can do it, right? Take them off your phone. Take them off your computer. Some people this doesn't work for because they've memorized their credit card numbers, which I've never done that before. Have you?
I know my credit card number.
Do you? I've never done that before. I guess I've never really paid attention to it. I know the last 4 digits, but I don't know the rest of it.
I just use it so much for business that it just I have to look at my keyboard often though.
Right.
Because I just type it, not think it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I should correct myself. Not a credit card for me, a debit card. I just said credit card. No, it's a debit card.
Yeah,
I did. All right. And the last one is, I think one of the most important ones is finding an accountability partner or system to follow. It's like Amber brought up, it's amazing what you can accomplish in just 15 to 20 minutes. Well, in Roots, we're teaching people what to do in those 15 to 20 minutes per day, right? They also get the accountability. They get the support. In fact, today, and this happens regularly, as I just brought up to Amber, it's on a regular basis. The main point of Roots is, again, to teach you what to do, but it's also to give you the support and accountability to actually do it and to keep doing it and be consistent with it. That's where most people fail, right? They understand their habits are keeping them stuck. They understand the things that they should do, but the part that keeps them stuck the most is just not doing the work that they know that they need to do. And the same thing is going to happen to you, whether you join an accountability system like Roots or you do this on your own. Like, you have to have something or find something that's going to hold you accountable to the goals that you want to achieve. And this is ultimately why this business was created, was because I'll tell you what, I sucked as my own accountability person. Like, I could have probably gotten out of debt way faster with help. And I did it on my own. Nobody did it with me. And it was easy to buy into the excuses, buy into the impulses, and I don't want to do this time. I don't want to do my budget this month. Like, and that repetitive bad habit and behavior is what kept me in debt longer than it should have. And I finally got out of debt after about 4 or 5 years. But, I mean, we have Roots members that got out of debt with the same numbers that I have that are blowing our numbers out of the water now. And I think it all kind of comes down to having an accountability system and having a partner or someone that you can work with that can hold you accountable to the stuff that you want to achieve.
I think it's just getting around people too that are, they're all, there's a feeling of safety when you're around a bunch of people that are all doing the same thing you're doing. I mean, 8 out of 10 people are living paycheck to paycheck. So if you're going to do this on your own, chances are you're going to run into most people that are going to tell you you're crazy, not support you, not because they don't love you or not because they don't like you, but because it's so foreign and so strange that most people just are not going to be supportive. And to get around a group of people, and there's a lot of shame in our financial, we don't want to tell people, but if you get around a bunch of people that are always all in the same boat, suddenly it becomes like, oh, there are people like me and I can say something and I can get support and people understand where I'm coming from. And we're all trying to do this same thing together.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
Hey, if you love planners, this is for you. But you know why planners frustrate me? Because they only really get it half right. Now, sure, they're really good and fancy about helping you manage your time, which is really important, obviously. That's what a planner's for. But where they get it wrong is money, the second most valuable resource in our lives. Most planners don't include any financial planning. Things like, keeping track of paydays, bills, due dates, spending, yearly expenses, budgets, cash flow planning, debt elimination plans, and goal planning, right? None of that stuff. That's a real pain. And then what? Then you got to create your own in some silly binder, right? And who has time for all of that stuff? So instead, what happens? Nothing, right? A lot of people tend to ignore their finances even more, and things only get worse. Well, that all ends today because I am so excited to announce and release my brand new, totally awesome Debt Freedom Planner. This thing's awesome, by the way. Now, before you say, Brad, I've already got a planner. This is not an ordinary day planner. This is the Debt Freedom Planner, which is a companion tool that works with your day planner, and it's built to help you manage your money, pay off more debt, and melt away financial stress. And I believe this is the tool that a lot of people who want to take control of their finances have been waiting for. So head on over to therealdebtfreedad.com, click on the Debt Freedom Planner in the menu to get access to your planner today.
Hey, what's this I see? I thought this was a party! Let's dance!
All right. That means it's time for the celebrations of the show. And because of today's theme and changing habits and behaviors, we've got behavior wins we're focusing on today. Heather's going to kick it off. She says, saying no to impulse buys when I'm at the store or online. Yes, no is such a powerful defense. That is an awesome win, Heather.
Shantina Holiday, I haven't used Amazon in a month and a half. Bad spot for impulse spending. It was easier than I thought it would be.
That's awesome. And yes,
good for you, because I struggle with Amazon.
That's a rough one.
Yvette Marie Frazier, I'm no longer going to shop freely on Amazon for things I don't need. I canceled my Amazon Prime and got a refund of the annual fee of $152.21.
Yeah, that is awesome, Yvette. Yeah, that's a big change, right? And this is, again, an example of These are people who recognize that these are problem areas. They're willing to make some changes. That's a huge win. I love that, Yvette. Congratulations to you. Kristen Helg, only buying what is on my list. Yes, the list is often overlooked, right? This is what I love about online grocery shopping, by the way, is that you don't have to go into the grocery store and be tempted. You have a list, just buy the stuff on the online grocery store, go pick it up, and you're done, right? Stick to the list. Great win.
Meredith Eleni, I'm on day 5 of no unnecessary spending. Man, do these challenges really help you see some big downfalls. I am most definitely an emotional spender. Great group chat Tuesday. Thanks for the advice.
Yeah, that is awesome, Meredith. So again, doing a no spending challenge on a specific item that you overspend a lot on is a good wake-up call. So I love that. Great win, Meredith.
And Jennifer Foster, I am not shopping anymore. I have everything I need. I shop at home, making do and getting creative.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jennifer. What a mindset change, though. Instead of what else could I get, just telling yourself every day, I've got everything I need. I love that. Mm-hmm. That little saying right there, if you just say that over and over again, that could be a big help as well. So huge congratulations to all of you who are working your way out of debt. And hey, if you're just getting started with our podcast, or maybe you've been listening for some time and you're interested in how you can get started on the road to financial freedom, head over to balancesense.com, sign up for my free Life Without Payments workshop, where I'm going to show you the first steps that have helped tens of thousands of people just like you save and pay off tens of millions of dollars and kick financial stress and worry for good. And thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our podcast. So please leave us an honest review. We read every single one of those. And as you guys know, the Debt Free Dad podcast is here to help you live a happier and stress-free financial life. So if you know someone who could benefit from our show, please give us a share. We appreciate you, and we will see you guys in an upcoming episode. Take care.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback on this video. And if you want the latest from the show, obviously be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And for the latest resources, or if you want more information on how to kick debt and financial stress, please be sure to check out the links in this video or head over to therealdebtfreedad.com. We'll see you guys on an upcoming show. Take care.